The Nuggets might be better than you expect this season. When talking about the Nuggets, we have to start with Jokic. Nikola Jokic's numbers heading into the 2025 to 2026 season are absolutely ridiculous. Last season, he put up nearly 30 points a game on over 66% true shooting, and somehow that wasn't even his most efficient year. This guy has a career true shooting of over 63%, and now he's projected to still stay above 65% despite a dip in usage. That's efficiency most players can only dream about. And he's doing it while scoring 24 to 26 points per game. The projected field goal percentage is just under 60, and the three-point percentage is expected to be almost 40 for a center. That kind of shooting, splits from that position, make the stat sheet look broken. Even with the projected usage rate dropping to about 27%, which is right around where it was during their title run, his efficiency's not supposed to suffer at all. In fact, with better spacing this year, there's a chance he actually becomes harder to guard. If that's even possible, the team's got shooters around him now, so the lane's not going to be so crowded. Defenses are going to have to pick their poison, and that's always when Jokic thrives. And then there's the passing. Last season, he averaged just over 10 assists per game and had 34 triple-doubles. That's almost half his games. He led the entire league in triple-doubles and now only needs 18 more to pass Oscar Robertson. If he hits 39, he passes Russell Westbrook. At this point, it's not even an if, it's just a when. He's also expected to lead the league in assists again with somewhere around 9.5 per game, maybe even more, depending on how quickly the new additions click. His assist-to-turnover ratio is projected to stay close to 3-1, which is absurd for someone touching the ball that much. And let's not forget the rebounding. Over 12 per 36 minutes is right where he's expected to stay. And that kind of presence on the boards means extra possessions every single night. He's not just padding stats either. The advanced numbers back up the impact. Jokic has led the league in on-off differential for 4 years straight. The Nuggets are over 20 points per 100 possessions better when he's on the floor. That's not normal. That's all-time level dominance. His player efficiency rating last year was 32. That's not just great, that's historic. For next season, it's expected to be around 30, and his win shares per 48 minutes are still sitting at close to 0.3. That's elite. Those are the kind of numbers that translate to wins, especially with the upgrades Denver's made. Val gives Jokic some breathing room, so he's not grinding through every single minute anymore. That'll help keep him fresh for the games that actually matter. Plus, Cam Johnson and Bruce Brown are supposed to tighten up the perimeter defense, so Jokic doesn't have to scramble to cover shooters every time someone blows by. Speaking of defense, last year wasn't pretty. The team finished ranked 21st, and Jokic's individual defensive rating was 115. Rim protection was rough, with opponents shooting 70% at the rim when he was defending. But this year, with better personnel and less pressure on him to do everything, there's a shot those numbers come down a bit. He won't suddenly become a block machine, but even slight improvements will make a difference, especially with Bruce Brown back to do the dirty work. With Jamal Murray projected to be healthier and more consistent, they've got another scoring option to take pressure off Jokic. Murray could push 22 points and 6 assists per game, which opens everything up even more. Cam Johnson hit over 41% from deep last season, so spacing is no longer a theory, it's real. That gives Jokic even more room to operate and pick teams apart. The projections have Jokic putting up around 24.5 to 26 points, 12 rebounds, and between 9.5 to 10.5 assists per game. Somewhere between 25 and 30 triple-doubles is expected, which means the record is within reach. Again, no surprise. He's on pace to become the only center in history to lead the league in assists while keeping a true shooting percentage over 65. That's not normal. That's not even close to normal. That's Jokic. And even if the scoring dips a little, it won't matter. He's still projected to be right in the middle of the MVP race. The Nuggets are expected to compete for the top seed in the West, and with the defending champs being the Thunder, it might come down to the wire. But with numbers like these, Jokic is going to make it very hard for anyone to count the Nuggets out. But then let's move on to a new guy, Cam Johnson. Cameron Johnson might be the most quietly important addition the Nuggets made for this season. He's coming off a career-best scoring year with almost 19 points a game, and he did it on over 63% true shooting. That's not just solid, that's borderline elite efficiency for a wing. He hit nearly 40% from 3, while also adding over 3 assists per game, showing that his impact goes beyond just spotting up. The numbers say he's more than a shooter, and the Nuggets definitely need more than a shooter. He's projected to average about 16 to 17 points per game this season, with his per 36-minute scoring reaching almost 20. That's especially valuable when you remember what Denver's bench looked like last season. When Jokic sat, the offense collapsed. They scored just 106 points per 100 possessions without him, which was bottom of the league bad. Johnson's movement shooting, cutting, and playmaking are built to fix that. His assist numbers are expected to sit around 3 to 4 per game, which is a big jump from what Porter Jr. was providing. He's not going to run the offense like a guard, but he can make the right read, hit open shooters, and punish defenses that collapse. Last season, he ran pick and roll on a quarter of his used possessions. Porter Jr., 8%. That tells you right away he brings more offensive variety. And the shooting holds up under pressure. Johnson has made at least 39% of his threes in 5 of his 6 NBA seasons. It's not a hot streak. It's who he is. He even added pull-up shooting to his game, taking 2 per night last season. That's another tool that fits with the Jokic system, where defenders are forced to choose between leaving shooters or risking backdoor cuts. Johnson punishes both. His mechanics are clean and consistent, and that high release makes him tough to bother, even when defenses try to close out. Plus, he's not just living at the arc. He finished nearly 58% of his twos last season, and he's a sneaky good finisher around the rim. In transition, he's efficient and smart, and his fit alongside Christian Braun in fast breaks could be a fun surprise. He times his cuts well, and with Jokic drawing attention, there'll be plenty of chances to get easy buckets. Now about the defense, Johnson's numbers there are mixed. Some metrics like synergy rate him above average in everything but isolation defense, while Darko puts him in the bottom third. He's not a lockdown defender, and his lateral quickness is a real weakness. Shifty guards give him trouble, and strong wings can muscle past him. But in a team scheme, he holds his own. His long wingspan helps him in passing lanes, and he rotates well. He's solid enough to not be a liability, and that's all Denver really needs with better defenders around him. One area where he really shines is in stabilizing second units. Brooklyn ran solid offense with him on the floor, even as their roster thinned out. He was their second option in usage rate last season, and he held up under the pressure. He's not being asked to do as much in Denver, but that experience is going to help with lineups featuring him, Bruce Brown, Val, and Jamal Murray. The bench finally has some teeth. Projected numbers look strong across the board. True shooting percentage near 64, around 5 rebounds, and a usage rate just over 20. His offensive ratings projected to hit 121, which puts him up with the best complementary wings in the league. He's expected to hit almost 40% from 3 again, and he'll get better looks now that he's playing off Jokic instead of trying to create more on his own. His assist to turnover ratio has stayed around 2 to 1, which is more than enough for a secondary ball handler. He makes quick decisions, keeps the ball moving, and doesn't freeze the offense when things break down. That alone is a huge upgrade from last year's second unit. The fit with Jokic just makes sense. Johnson moves without the ball, hits open shots, and cuts when defenses relax. He's not waiting to be spoon-fed. He creates space and opportunities just by being smart and active. That kind of presence keeps the offense flowing, even when things slow down, and it gives Jokic one more reliable option on the floor. He's also durable, experienced, and smack in the middle of his prime. At 29 years old, with 6 full seasons behind him, he's polished but not worn down. That balance of age and production is rare, and it's exactly what Denver needed to round out their rotation. So no, he's not going to put up all-star numbers. And no, he won't dominate headline. But if he hits those projections, 17 points, 5 boards, 3 assists, elite shooting splits, steady defense, he's going to be the reason Denver's offense stays alive when the MVP catches his breath. And that's worth way more than it shows on paper. But what about the point guard? Jamal Murray's coming into this season with a very clear goal. Keep the Nuggets in the hunt, and the stats say he's got the tools. He averaged just over 21 points per game last season, shooting nearly 40% from 3 and almost 47.5% from the field overall. His true shooting was nearly 59%, which is pretty efficient for someone taking on a high-volume role. He was the second option, but still a primary shot creator every night. His usage rate was just under 25%, meaning a quarter of Denver's possessions ran through him while he was on the floor. His offensive rating of nearly 120 was a career best, showing how much he's cleaned up his shot selection and decision-making. Per 36 minutes, he gave them almost 24 points, 6.5 assists, and over 4 rebounds. This season, projections have him right around those same numbers, 22 points, 6 assists, and the same efficient shooting splits. Now looking at his passing, the numbers are trending up. Last season, he had 6 assists per game with just over 2 turnovers per night. That's an assist to turnover ratio of almost 3 to 1. That's strong for a guy who's more scoring guard than true point. His assist percentage last year was nearly 23, which means he set up nearly a quarter of his teammates' made shots while on the floor, and he's expected to do even more this season, pushing to over 6 assists per 36 minutes. That chemistry with Jokic matters here. They've been one of the most efficient duos in the league for years, especially in the pick and roll. Defenses just can't cover everything when both are reading the floor like that. Murray's shown he can make the skip pass, hit shooters, or attack switches. And when Jokic draws help, Murray punishes defenders with quick catch-and-shoot threes. Defensively, though, the stats are not kind. His real plus-minus on defense last season was negative 1.1, which means he's a bit of a liability. Opponents targeted him on switches, and bigger guards gave him trouble. In the playoffs, the Clippers isolated him and went on a 30-9 run in one of those games. That's the kind of sequence that shows up in film rooms and on stat sheets. That said, he did average over 1 steal per game, a career high. He's not completely lost out there, but his defense is the weakest part of his game. Denver's system is designed to help him, using stronger wings like Aaron Gordon to take on tougher matchups. For this season, he's projected to stay around 1.3 steals per 36 minutes, which helps a little. Durability is another issue. He played 67 games last year, which is solid, but his history includes major injuries like an ACL tear. He's missed over 50 games total in his career. Last season saw him dealing with ankle, knee, and hamstring problems. Projections say he'll play somewhere between 65 and 70 games this year, and his minutes will be monitored to make sure he's available for the playoff. Even with that in mind, the impact is undeniable. His player efficiency rating last season was 17.8, which is solid but not elite. His win shares were over 6, and Denver's offense dipped hard when he was off the court, dropping to under 50 in offensive rating during the playoff. That's a brutal number and shows how vital his presence is. The advanced numbers project him to continue performing at an all-star level this season. His PER is expected to stay in that 17 to 18 range. His win shares per 48 minutes will stay steady, and his on-court impact will remain huge. He's Denver's second most important player, and that's not up for debate. He also brings that playoff clutch gene that's hard to measure but easy to say. He's had multiple 50-point playoff games in his career, and last year, he averaged nearly 23 points and 6 assists in the first round. His ability to hit big shots, control tempo, and feed off Jokic in big moments makes him one of the most dangerous second options in the league. Murray's projection for this season looks like this: about 22 points, just over 6 assists, near 40% from deep, and a true shooting percentage right around 58. If he stays healthy for 65 to 70 games, Denver's offense should hum. He'll remain one of the best secondary creators in the league and a huge reason why Denver's still in the title conversation. His shot creation, floor spacing, and chemistry with Jokic make him impossible to replace. But what about Gordon? Aaron Gordon's numbers are screaming stability and impact heading into the new season. He averaged just under 15 points a game last year while shooting over 53% from the field and a wild 43% from 3. His true shooting percentage hit 65%, which is absurd for a forward who isn't living behind the arc. That kind of efficiency puts him right up with the best complementary scorers in the league. He's not forcing shots, he's finishing them. He cuts, screens, moves, and punishes defenders who lose track of him. With Cam Johnson joining the lineup and giving Denver even more spacing, Gordon's scoring opportunities should get easier. He's projected to stay in that 13 to 15 point range, but the quality of those points should go up. He thrived last year as a cutter, and now with better floor balance, he might see fewer defenders clogging the paint. That could bump his field goal percentage even higher into the 55% range, and his three-point shooting is expected to remain between 40 and 42%. That's from a guy who once struggled to crack 35%. His impact goes beyond scoring. He averaged over 3 assists per game last season and held a 2-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. His assist rate hit 20%, which was the best of his career. That means he's not just standing in the corner waiting for scraps. He's actually involved in the offense as a connector. This year, that number's expected to climb a little more into the 3.5 to 4 assist range, and with Michael Porter Jr. gone, Gordon will likely handle more responsibilities when it comes to moving the ball in half-court sets. Defensively, Gordon continues to carry a heavy load. His raw stats, half a steal, a third of a block per game, don't capture what he does on that end. He guards everyone, wings, guards, bigs, whoever. He switches across positions and gives Denver some flexibility in matchups. That's huge, especially with Jokic often needing help against quicker guards or stretch forwards. Gordon might not be racking up blocks, but he's bodying up stars and absorbing tough assignments every night. The advanced numbers, Back that up too. Denver was over 5 points per 100 possessions better with him on the floor last year. He had a usage rate just under 20%, which is perfect for his role. Not overused, not invisible. His real plus-minus was slightly negative, but projections say that'll move up this year. Why? Because with Cam Johnson and Bruce Brown helping on the perimeter, Gordon won't have to cover everyone at once. Less scrambling, more focused defense. That makes a difference. Rebounding is another sneaky part of his game. He pulled down almost 5 boards a game last season, and projections have him staying right around 5 to 5.5. But his value on the glass isn't just grabbing rebounds, it's boxing out, clearing space, and allowing Jokic to scoop up boards and push the break. That stuff doesn't show up in the stat sheet, but it shows up in wins. He's also been dependable. Gordon played over 70 games in each of the last 3 seasons. That kind of availability is rare in today's league. Even with a minor hamstring issue in the playoffs, he still started 42 of 51 games last season. He's expected to stay in that same range again this year, playing 28 to 30 minutes a night, giving Denver a steady two-way presence who can hang with just about anyone. His role in Denver's offense won't change much, and that's a good thing. He's the perfect piece next to Jokic. He screens, cuts, finishes, and doesn't get in the way. He knows when to move, when to space, and when to flash to the rim. That kind of basketball IQ makes everything easier for the team stars. And with Cam Johnson stretching defenses even more, Gordon should get better looks and cleaner lanes to operate in. His projected numbers look like this: around 14 points, 5 rebounds, 3.5 assists, over 52% shooting, and around 40% from 3. That kind of line doesn't scream superstar, but it screams value. He's the guy doing all the things that don't make headlines, but win games. If the Nuggets are going to chase another title, Gordon's going to be a huge part of it. He's not flashy, he's just really good at what he does. And when you've got someone like Jokic running the show, that kind of reliability is gold. But what about Brown? Christian Braun is coming into this season with momentum and numbers that scream breakout. He started 77 games last year and gave Denver just over 15 points a night, while shooting 58% from the field and nearly 40% from 3. That kind of efficiency from the wing spot is rare, and his true shooting percentage hit a ridiculous 66.5%. That's not just good for a role player, that's elite for any player. His scoring is expected to stay right around 16 to 18 points per game, but with even more stability in his role. He's also rebounding better than ever, pulling down over 5 boards a game, and he's projected to increase that slightly, especially in small ball lineups, where he'll be asked to help more on the glass. His offensive rebounding gives Denver second chances, and his defensive rebounds help fuel transition offense. Add in 3 to 4 assists per game, and you've got a wing doing a little bit of everything. That assist to turnover ratio of 2.5 to 1, that shows he's not just making the extra pass, he's making smart decisions. Brown shot almost 65% on twos last season. That kind of finishing at the rim puts him in the upper tier of wings in the league. He's aggressive attacking closeouts, knows how to take contact, and isn't afraid to go straight at bigs. He's not flashy, but he's efficient. His mechanics on his jumper are clean, and with almost 40% from 3, defenses have to respect him. That opens up the lane for guys like Jokic and Murray to operate. His improvement at the free throw line is a big deal too. He jumped to over 82% last year, up from under 70 the season before. That makes him more reliable late in games and more dangerous when attacking the basket. He's projected to stay in the high 70s or low 80s again this year. Now let's talk defense. Brown's not the longest guy out there, but he moves his feet, uses his strength, and plays with discipline. He averaged over 1 steal and half a block per game, and those numbers are expected to hold steady. He's effective, guarding 1 through 3, and can even switch onto some 4s without giving up much. He held up well in isolation and has become one of Denver's best on-ball defenders. He's also strong in team defense, rotating smartly and helping when needed. The numbers show it too. His defensive real plus-minus climbed significantly, and while some metrics still show him as average, the eye test and playoff performances suggest he's trending way up. During the playoffs, he put up over 12 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists per game, with standout moments like a 23-point, 11-rebound game against the Thunder. He's not just coasting through the regular season, he shows up when it matters. His projected per 36-minute stats for this season are looking strong. Just over 18 points, nearly 6 rebounds, around 3 assists, and shooting splits that include 55% from the field and almost 40% from deep. His win shares per 48 are expected to rise to around 0.125, showing how much value he brings per minute played. He's also a lineup chameleon. He'll start at the 2 or 3, but can slide to the 4 in small ball lineups. That flexibility gives Denver options, especially when they want to push the pace or go switch heavy on defense. He's one of the reasons they don't need to load the bench with veterans. He can hold things down on both ends. There are still areas to work on. He's not yet a strong pull-up shooter, and his playmaking volume could grow. He had some trouble staying out of foul trouble in the playoffs, averaging over 3 fouls a game, so that's something to watch. But none of those are red flags, just natural next steps in development. Christian Braun's role is growing, and he's proving he deserves it. He's expected to give Denver 16 to 18 points, 5 to 6 rebounds, and 3 to 4 assists per game, while shooting over 60% true shooting. He guards multiple positions, plays smart on offense, and brings energy that doesn't waver. He's not a role player anymore, he's a core piece. And at just 24 years old, he's only getting better. But let's look at some new faces. Val is walking into Denver with a clearly defined job, and his numbers make it obvious he can handle it. Last season, across 81 games, he averaged just over 10 points and nearly 8 rebounds in under 19 minutes per game. That's solid production for a backup big, and he did it while shooting 55% from the field and nearly 88% from the free throw line. For a guy pushing 34, that kind of efficiency is exactly what Denver needs behind Nikola Jokic. His per 36 numbers really show the value. Almost 13 points and nearly 4 offensive boards, plus 2 assists. The rebounding is still elite, and the offensive glass numbers are massive. He's projected to keep pulling down about 7 to 8 rebounds per 36 minutes this year, and those second chance points are huge when the bench is struggling to score. The free throw shooting, staying above 83%, means he's not a liability when teams try to play hack-a-center. That's an underrated part of his game. Offensively, Val does exactly what you'd want from a traditional big. He scores in the paint, sets tough screens, and makes himself available as a target inside. He's not stretching the floor with that 21% three-point shooting, but his post efficiency is strong enough that it doesn't really matter. He's not supposed to live at the three-point line anyway. Instead, he'll help Denver's guards in the pick and roll or pick and pop spots, and then feast on mismatches under the rim. He also showed some growth as a passer last season. He averaged 2 assists per game, a career high in a bench role, and that number is expected to stay right around 1.5 to 2 assists this year. He's not a facilitator, but he makes smart decisions and doesn't kill the offense when the ball finds him. The assist to turnover ratio isn't perfect, but it's solid for his role. Now let's not pretend there aren't limitations. On defense, Val struggles. His block rate dipped below 1 per game, and at this point in his career, he's not switching onto anyone outside the paint. His lateral quickness is a known issue, and teams that run high pick and roll actions will go after him when he's out there. He'll need to be hidden in drop coverage as much as possible. Denver will have to structure the bench lineups to protect him, likely relying on Aaron Gordon or Bruce Brown to take on the tougher assignments. But this is a backup role, not a featured one. That's why his expected minutes are just 15 to 18 per night. That's enough to keep Jokic fresh and to avoid complete offensive collapses when the MVP rests. Last year, Denver's bench cratered without Jokic. Adding Val helps close that gap. His ability to score, rebound, and not completely wreck spacing with bad shots makes him one of the most competent reserve centers in the league. His efficiency numbers back it all up. His player efficiency rating last year was over 20, and it's projected to stay right around that same level again this season. His win shares per 48 minutes are projected to hit about 0.149, which is a strong mark for a reserve big. He's not flashy, but he's productive. Durability's another bonus. He played 81 games last year and has missed just 6 total games over the past 2 seasons. That reliability matters when the team's depth is already thin. Denver doesn't need to worry about resting him or micromanaging his minutes. He's going to show up, do his job, and stay available. In the playoffs, his role will probably shrink. He'll be exposed in certain matchups, especially against faster teams that space the floor and attack downhill. But he'll still have value in specific situations. When Denver needs size, needs rebounding, or just needs a few stable minutes from someone who won't panic under pressure. Projections for this season are simple: around 6 to 8 points, 5 to 7 rebounds, 1.5 to 2 assists per game in limited minutes. Efficiency stays high, defense stays basic, and production stays consistent. That's the job description, and he's built to fill it. He's not changing the outcome of the season by himself, but he's definitely making the nights when Jokic sits a little less disastrous. That alone is worth the roster spot. But then we got Hardaway. Tim Hardaway Jr. is stepping into the Nuggets rotation as a bench shooter, and the numbers say he's still got some value left in the tank. Last season with Detroit, he averaged just over 11 points a game, while shooting about 41% from the field and almost 37% from deep. His true shooting percentage was nearly 57%, which puts him just above average for a wing. He's always been a volume shooter, and now in Denver, he won't have to carry that same burden. He's expected to give the Nuggets about 10 to 12 points a night in fewer minutes, with improved efficiency thanks to the gravity of Nikola Jokic. His catch and shoot splits make it clear where he thrives. He hit just under 40% on open threes last season, but dipped to around 26% when tightly contested. That means if he's left alone, which will definitely happen with Jokic on the court, he can still punish defenses. And with guys like Cam Johnson and Christian Braun around him, spacing won't be a problem. That's going to give Hardaway more clean looks than he had in Detroit. Projections put his three-point shooting between 38 and 40% this year, which would be a nice bump. His usage rate was just over 15% last season, which actually suits him in this new role. He doesn't need the ball in his hands, he doesn't hijack possessions, and he knows how to spot up in the right places. His assist-to-turnover ratio was nearly 3-1, which is pretty solid for a guy who's mainly a shooter. That just means he knows his job and doesn't try to do too much. Now, defensively, this is where things get rocky. His defensive real plus-minus was almost -2 last season, and that tracks with what the film shows. He's not quick laterally, he doesn't generate steals, and he's not switching onto anyone comfortably. The numbers don't lie. 0.5 steals and 0.1 blocks per game. If he's on the floor, Denver has to cover for him. Luckily, that's something they can actually do now. With Aaron Gordon and Christian Braun out there, they've got enough coverage to hide one weak link on the wing for short stretches. That being said, Hardaway's minutes won't be guaranteed. He'll be fighting with Bruce Brown and Julian Strawther for backup wing time. If he shoots well, he plays. If he goes cold, he probably sits. That's the deal. His postseason history also reflects that inconsistency. In the playoffs last year, he had a 12-point average, but shot just over 30% from deep. He had one game where he dropped 24, hitting over 58% from three, and then followed that up with scoreless nights. That's who he is, a microwave scorer who can either swing a game or disappear. He's projected to play 15 to 20 minutes per game this season and give Denver somewhere between 10 and 12 points, 2 to 2.5 rebounds, and around 2 assists. His field goal percentage should stay around 40 to 42, and his three-point percentage could climb a little thanks to better shot quality. His true shooting percentage might reach close to 59 if he sticks to clean looks and stays off the dribble. From a contract standpoint, Denver got him on a minimum deal, which is great value. For a guy with over 3,300 career playoff minutes and a history of knocking down tough shots, that's a bargain. He might not swing a series, but he could absolutely swing a quarter. And in a playoff game, that sometimes matters more than the box score. His projected win shares per 48 are around 0.07, and his player efficiency rating is expected to stay just under 10. So he's not changing games on his own. But if Denver can deploy him correctly, next to Jokic, in lineups with heavy defense around him, he can absolutely make shots that matter. The ceiling here is simple. Hardaway hits his open looks, gives Denver a shooting boost off the bench, and buys minutes for the star. The floor, he gets hunted on defense and loses his spot in the rotation. But for the price and the role, it's a smart gamble. And if he catches fire at the right time, he's the kind of bench piece that makes life miserable for other teams trying to close a gap. But lastly, a familiar face. Bruce Brown is back in Denver, and the timing could not be better. After 2 years away, he's returning with the exact skill set the Nuggets were missing. Versatile defense, steady playmaking, and off-ball awareness that doesn't require a single highlight to be effective. He averaged just over 8 points last season across 2 teams, while shooting a little over 42% from the field and just above 33% from deep. Not exactly eye-popping, but context matters. He was asked to do more in systems that didn't suit him. Now, he's back in a system built to make him shine. In his last season with Denver, he put up over 11 points per game, shooting nearly 49% from the field and 36% from three. The role was clear: cut, defend, pass, and stay ready to shoot when Jokic found him. That clarity made all the difference. Back then, he had the best true shooting percentage of his career at over 57%. And with the current roster spacing out even more with Cam Johnson and Christian Braun, Brown's expected to bounce right back to those levels. He's projected to shoot around 36% from deep again, with a true shooting percentage climbing back to over 57. Offensively, he's not flashy, but he's efficient. He's great at making the smart play, cutting when defenders lose sight, curling into space, and finishing through contact. His per-game scoring is projected to hit about 9.5 points in 25 to 28 minutes, with assist numbers jumping up to over 3 per game. That increase comes from the second unit responsibility he'll carry. With Jokic on the bench, Braun will handle the ball, settle the offense, and take pressure off Jamal Murray. His assist-to-turnover ratio is around 2-to-1 across his career, showing how much he values possession and doesn't make risky decisions. He's not breaking down defenders off the dribble, but he'll drive and kick, reset the offense, and operate comfortably in the pick and roll. That secondary playmaking becomes even more important with the bench-heavy lineups Denver leans on during non-Jokic minutes. Defensively, Braun's calling card remains his versatility. He's 6'4", but his strength and footwork let him guard 1 through 3 consistently and even switch onto some 4s. He averages nearly 1 steal and half a block per game, and his defensive rebounding rate sits high for his position. That lets Denver go small without getting torched on the glass. He'll be used as a stopper, thrown at scores in crunch time, and relied on to clean up defensive breakdown. His awareness on rotations and ability to read passing lanes have always made him a system glue guy. He's also rebounding well for his size. Averaging about 4.5 boards per game is the projection, which helps fuel Denver's transition opportunities. Add that to his energy and effort, and he's the kind of player who fills in gaps without needing the ball. That's perfect for a team built around Jokic and Murray. Braun's projected stat line looks like this: around 9 to 10 points, 4 to 5 rebounds, 3 to 4 assists, over 47% from the field, and 36% from deep. His per 36-minute numbers are even more productive, about 14 points, nearly 6 rebounds, and 3.5 assists. Advanced metrics like player efficiency rating are expected to climb back to the 12 to 13 range, and his win shares per 48 should push around 0.12. His value goes beyond stats. The Nuggets bench collapsed last season without Jokic. They scored just 106 points per 100 possessions when he rested, a complete disaster. Braun's role is to fix that. His chemistry with Jokic is already built. His comfort in the offense is already proven. That familiarity lets Denver drop him back into the rotation without needing an adjustment period. He's also cheap. Signed on a minimum deal, he's giving Denver one of the best value contracts in the league. For a guy with championship experience, a proven role, and a track record of playoff performance, this is the kind of move that doesn't make headlines, but wins games. There are risks. He'll need to hit open threes consistently to stay playable in the postseason. His shooting has bounced around over the years, and if it dips below 33% again, Denver might have to scale his minutes back. He's also moving into his late 20s, where some athleticism starts to fade, but his game was never based on bounce. It's built on awareness, timing, and effort. Those things age well. If he accepts the bench role behind Braun and Johnson and keeps buying into the dirty work, Braun could be the quiet X factor again. He's not the savior, but he's the kind of player who lets the stars be stars. For a team looking to get back to the finals, that matters more than ever. If you enjoyed this, I'm going to be posting a lot here. I would greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching.